Welcome to Relationships 2.0. I'm Michelle Skeen. My special guest today is Tim Link. He is the author of Talking with Dogs and Cats, joining the conversation to improve behavior and bond with your animals. Welcome, Tim. Are you there, Tim? Waiting for Tim. How's it going, Joe?
Can you hear me at all now?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Hi, Tim. I can hear you a little bit. I think they need to turn up the volume, but I just want to say I see that you're a radio professional, so I'm sure you understand that things always don't go perfectly.
Yes, the gremlins always appear when you least need them. That's for sure.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I was teaching a workshop this weekend in Dallas, Texas, and the location we were at had a telephone, obviously, and it was closed for the weekend, but there was a recording device on the phone. It was one of those old-fashioned ones where you could hear the message going out. And so no matter what I did to tune that down or turn it off, it always seemed to pop back on, right in the middle of the most intense parts when we're trying to focus and meditate and clear our mind.
That's
okay,
hilarious.
That's enough clearing of the mind. Here you go. Get back to work.
Clearing the mind. Can I get you to either be a little bit closer to your, talking device or speak up? You're just a little bit low.
Okay, so I'll speak up a little bit. Does this help out at all?
Yeah, I think maybe they need to do something on their end in the control room. I can hear you. I think I'm probably just blasting a little bit louder than you are. I have, we have 2 dogs and a cat, and I love reading books about animals, and have brought so much joy to our family, and I so enjoyed reading your book.
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that very much. The book Talking with Dogs and Cats, I tried to break it down to a book that everyone can understand and sort of realize that they have their inner gifts, and you just need to polish them up and bring them back out again. And then, of course, the latter part of the book is sort of a how-to. If you got dogs and cats in your life, you're going to run into challenges, no matter how great your pups and kitties are. You're going to have challenges from time to time. So I'm giving you some new techniques and advice to follow that may be able to improve those situations.
What do you think is, not to focus on the negative, but just to give people ideas, what do you think are some typical mistakes that people make with their pets, that kind of traps that we all fall into if we're not paying attention?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that we have is not really paying attention to them, not at a deep level. So, for instance, if we've got dogs in our lives, we're probably out walking them, or for a lot of people, they think it's just a big backyard. You let them loose for the day, and then they come back in whenever. But do you actually have a deep conversation with them? Do you really try to understand what they're telling you past, that I need food or give me more treats, those type of things? And then when we're talking about cats, very independent creatures typically, so we really don't pay them any attention at all until it's, cuddle time, or there's something going on, some dis-ease within their body. And then at that point, we take a look at it. And perhaps that was a little too late in the time when we could have connected with them and understood them. So I think it's just a matter of us slowing down enough to actually have a connection and a bond and actually communicate with them like we would anybody else in our household.
Yeah, well, you talk about, mindfulness and meditation and what an important component that is. And when I was reading that, I was thinking the last meditation retreat I was at with my Zen Buddhist teacher, she passed out this cartoon that had, on one side, it had a dog with, and it was in a landscape scene. And then on the other side, it had a person in the landscape scene. And then there were bubbles above each of their heads. And in the dog's bubble was the exact scene that the dog was in. And in the person's bubble was just all of this other stuff, just all the, like, everything, tons of objects and words and to-do
Yeah.
lists. And
Yeah, I call it the Post-it notes on the brain is what I call it.
yeah. And, one of the things I've been doing for a while now is every morning I take my dogs to this really beautiful area in San Francisco called Fort Mason and let them run around and play and just enjoy watching them. And I try and, be in the moment and take in the scenery the way that they are and enjoy the location the way that they do.
And that's brilliant. That's a wonderful thing to do. It's a great bonding opportunity. And you just said it right there and then. Do you do any sort of formal meditation? Do you get in your lotus position and chant like the monks? Or
yeah, well, I don't chant, but yeah.
You do that. Great. And that's perfect. That's wonderful to do that. But I tell people all the time, I teach workshops throughout the country, and during the workshops I ask people, do you meditate? And there's a handful of people that do. They're like, okay, yeah, I've got a routine, whether it's a formal meditation in the lotus position, or maybe I light a candle and I focus on the flame until I go into this state where I can actually connect and hear, go into my subconscious state. But really, meditation is anything that takes you out of the conscious mind and puts you into that subconscious space to allow things to flow through. So that time in the park, you're enjoying it with your dogs, you're bonding with your dogs, but as you said, you're getting back in touch with nature, and that's a form of meditation. So whether you're doing something formal or whether you're a gardener or you listen to music or you go on long walks or you walk into nature, whatever it is that takes you out of this conscious world and gets you in touch and allows you to open up to everything around you, all the energies and all the wonderful things around you, that's meditation. And that's how we really get down to that deep level to connect with our animals.
Yeah. So I feel like I've had someone on the show before who has your ability to do that. And I feel like some people like easily have the gift, maybe it comes more easily to them. Like some people are just naturally, like great drawers or, whereas other people are learning the skill. Did it tell the audience about how you stumbled on this ability and how it's transformed your life?
Yeah, for me it was quite accidental. I will say that. I've always loved animals, but I wasn't the guy who rescued the cats from the trees, and I wasn't the Pied Piper of squirrels walking down the street. I never had that in my life. I grew up in a very modest means. I grew up in a 675 square foot house with two older sisters and a mom and dad in the middle of Indiana. So we really didn't have room for pets. We had the Collie Shepherd, which is I talk about in the book, Talking with Dogs and Cats, my boy Bandit. That was our dog, but he was always outside, and it was a different dynamic than definitely what I have with my animals today. And I went on to college, first my family to go to college, and I paid my way through college and worked hard and got the grades and played some semi-pro baseball for a while. So I did everything that, the all-American blue-blooded guy should do or does typically. But in 2004, that was all going to change. 2004, I went to a little workshop, a little half-day workshop, and the workshop was designed to clear your mind, like we talked about before, get rid of those Post-it notes on the brain or the monkey mind, however you want to label it. Right. Open your heart to the idea of being able to connect with your animals at a deeper level. Breathe, learn how to breathe, clearing yourself, using that breath to clear yourself, and to focus on the animals. And that's what we did during the workshop. And we had pictures of animals from the participants of the class, and we had live animals there, and we were to connect with them, ask them very simple questions like, what color is Fluffy's litter box? Where does Spot like to sleep? Where does Winnie eat her hay? And we were to connect with the animals, see what information we received, and then compare notes to see how accurate we were or we were getting other information coming through. What was it? And for me during this, I always received information. So there's about 100 questions we went through because we had a pretty sizable class. And each time I received information, it was a picture and usually a couple of words at that time. And I jotted down the information, had no idea if it was right, wrong, or indifferent. And lo and behold, not only did the information come through, but every single time was 100% accurate. Now keep in mind, this I went through 40 years of my life not knowing about this gift, this thing. It was buried deep within me. I never even recall having any glimpses of that before.
Yeah.
You know, we've always had animals in our life. My wife is the Ellie Mae Clampett of my world, so she's never seen a critter she didn't like. So we've had a plethora of them. And, you know, we've loved each one of them and enjoyed each one of them, and they brought great things to our life. But I never knew about this. And truthfully, at that time, I thought, wow, this is really cool. And I thought, this is really weird. You know, maybe I'm on a hot streak. Maybe I should get the lotto ticket as soon as I leave the class.
Yeah, right?
Yes. How much does it cost to get to Vegas? I've never played blackjack, but I think it's time. I'm
I think I can win.
Exactly. I'm on a hot streak here. I'm on a roll. And more importantly, what was this all about, and what was it going to mean to my life? Because, you know, at that time, I was a telecom executive. My role was to travel the world, meeting with the biggest names in telecommunication, trying to see if they'll buy $20 to $30 million worth of technology that may or may never see the light of day. And that's what I did. I traveled everywhere and met all kinds of great corporations and sold this wonderful things that we know today in our smartphones. So I was selling, you know, applications and video downloads and music and live streaming and all this stuff that weren't even in cell phones at the time. You know, I was 10 years. The technology takes that long to develop and get it out in the system and the networks to accept it. Yeah. So I knew those two worlds weren't quite lined up. You know, it wasn't like I was going to go to the head of, say, Texas Instruments and say, hey, I tell you what, you buy like $30 million worth of the technology that I'm selling today, and I'll come by and tell you why Fluffy's no longer using the litter box. Yeah. I knew those worlds, maybe one of these lifetimes, those worlds will line up, and that'll be one heck of a business card that I have, you know.
Yeah.
But I knew those worlds weren't aligned, and I really didn't know about the gift. I didn't know how to work with it or what to do with it. So I kept it quiet, and I worked with my own pets, and then later worked with animals of friends of mine. I later became part of an animal healing ministry at church, and then later a president of a local humane society. And the gift kept growing.
If I can interrupt you for just a moment, what did the healing ministry at the church look like? What was that all about?
It was basically anything that was going on with your animal, especially if it was a dis-ease within themselves. And when I say dis-ease, you know, it could be a mental or an emotional thing that your animal is going through, or it could be a physical thing they're going through.
Okay.
So the healing ministry is basically there to help people and to listen and give guidance and pray and meditate for your animal to sort of open those channels and see if we can send some blessings or send some help or some support or some advice.
Yeah.
And, of course, most of us were, you know, involved with animals in some fashion, or we had a plethora of animals ourselves. So we had a knowledge base, but we also took it a little bit deeper than that and tried to get it, you know, at a deeper level. And so that's what the healing ministry is about. And it's a fabulous, fabulous part of the church, and it's something I think every church should have.
Yeah, that sounds fabulous.
Yeah. And so, you know, it's one of those things where as I continued to develop it, it expanded. You know, I started receiving words, colors, feelings, pictures, emotions, tastes, smells, whatever the animal was willing to share with me, that's what I was receiving. And the word got out. You know, the word got out. I started doing great work with the animals, helping people out, and started doing work in the grieving area when you're about to lose an animal or an animal has made their transition, and helping people through that process, going through the grief behind that. And then working with missing animals. I do a great number of lost animal work, and I've had great deal of success with that.
Oh, I bet that was really rewarding. Tim, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation. I want to ask you, when we come back, if there are certain, if, you know, like a dog barking incessantly is going to be, any dog barking incessantly is going to be sending the same kind of message, or if it's very specific to each dog. Don't give the answer yet. You can tell us when we come back from break. You're listening to Relationships 2.0. Stay tuned. We'll be back after a quick break. Perfect. Thank you. Hi, I'm Michelle Skeen, psychologist, author, and host of Relationships 2.0. On my radio show, I interview guests who present their unique perspectives and expertise on topics that cover all aspects of relationship. If you want to improve your relationship, and let's face it, we all have room for improvement, tune in to Relationships 2.0 with Dr. Michelle Skeen. If you miss my show or you're interested in listening to past podcasts, you can go to my website, www.michelleskeen.com. Again, www.michelleskeen.com. Tune in and improve your relationships.
When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, both of my daughters were pregnant, and everything I was looking forward to turned into everything I was going to miss. First words, first steps. Today, those babies are 3. I'm with them all the time. I don't know what's next, but I know I'm here today.
A Susan G. Komen grant helped pay for Alanthia's surgery, and today she's caring for her grandchildren. Help save lives. Visit IamSusanGKomen.org. A public service message from Susan G. Komen.
Hey, what's up? Thinking about you. XOXOXO. Want to snuggle. ... JK. Hit me back. You getting these texts? ? We should hang later. I miss you. Holla at ya, boy. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you at home? Where are you? What are you doing? OMG. You are making me mad. Are you with your ex? You better text me back. I'm waiting outside your house.
Relentless, aggressive texting is like sending an angry robot to deliver your message. When does the robot become dangerous? Let us know at that'snotcool.com.
That'snotcool.com.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Relationships 2.0. I'm chatting with Tim Link. Tim is, we're discussing his latest book, Talking with Dogs and Cats, but he is also the host of the nationally syndicated radio show Animal Rights and a regular contributing writer for Victoria Stilwell's Positively Pet Expert blog. So Tim, when any dog barks incessantly, are they sending the same message, or are they sending specific messages, like each individual dog? Does it have a general meaning and then also a specific meaning?
Well, from a general standpoint, obviously, they're trying to get our attention. I mean, that's first and foremost. They're trying to get our attention to a situation or a need that they have. Now, animals, just like we are, we're all unique individuals, and animals are that way as well. They're unique personalities, each and every one of them. I've got 2 schnauzers from the same litter, and they're different as night and day. So, so we see that, and we recognize that they don't have their own personalities. So when you're talking about barking excessively, it definitely could be something where they're trying to notify you that someone is outside in a good way. They've assigned themselves a job, so they're going to let you know that when the pool guy next door shows up, or the lawn guy shows up, or the infamous squirrel runs across the fence, they're going to let you know that, because that's sort of a self-assigned job that they did. But other times it's a matter of they're trying to wake us up to the fact that they're not doing well, or they need something from us, or better yet, they may identify something within inside of us that we're not recognizing. We're not allowing ourselves to open ourselves up to recognize that. And so it's really important to tune into them and find out and communicate with them to find out what it is and what you can do to help the situation.
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking about is that people I think a lot of people think that dogs are just like really basic and don't have, much going on, right? Just, pet them and feed them and let them sleep and they're good to go. What do you say to that assessment?
It goes much deeper than that. That's like saying that all we need is food and shelter in our lives, and we need nothing else. Maybe a little companionship every once in a while. But we know it's much deeper than that. We have things that we like and we don't prefer. We have questions about the world and things going on around us. We wonder, what our partners or our spouses or our friends are thinking. And what we have to do is delve into that to ask them. So we tend to do it, verbally. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what's going on. With our animals, we should be doing that same thing. So it's much deeper than that. They have questions, concerns, and worries. Great example of that is when you start talking about going on vacation. Do your animals start to get a little anxious, even if you're just talking about it? Yeah, exactly. So
particularly our cat
starts acting up a little bit or changing the behavior?
Just starts getting, kind of clingy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like hanging around, like, oh, now I see the suitcase is coming out. Like, this isn't good. This is not a good sign.
The black beast coming out of the closet, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, the key thing behind that is, I talk about this in the book, Talking with Dogs and Cats. And I go through it. There's a little chapter in there called The Orange Ball.
I love it. Tell the story about the orange ball and the pink ball.
Yeah, so the orange ball and the pink ball. So we'll do a little test here, and I'll test you on it real quick. It's real easy. I'm going to say the word orange ball, and then I'm going to ask 3 questions. So I'm saying it once again, orange ball. Now, did you hear me say the word orange ball?
Yes.
Good. So my Midwestern Southern combo accent didn't throw you off.
I passed the first test. I'm so excited.
You were so excited. Excellent. Now, when I said orange ball, did you see an orange ball or an orange something or the word orange or the color of the sun? Did you see something orange?
I saw an orange ball.
Orange ball. Excellent. What kind of orange ball did you see?
I saw that orange chocolate ball.
There you go.
that person's made so much money, whoever invented that.
I know it. And I'm expecting a little bit of it now that we're mentioning that, since they're not an official sponsor of the show. So a little bit coming our way, please. Enough to buy some kibble.
Exactly.
So you heard the words that I'm saying. You saw the orange ball in your mind's eye, your vision, your subconscious state there. Yeah. Now, more importantly, how'd you feel about passing the test?
I was hoping that I would get to the level of intelligence of a dog. So I'm feeling like maybe I can hang with my dogs and have a chat.
Yeah, maybe they'll honor you enough to do that. But, you feel good. It's a positive thing.
Right.
Anytime that we know we've got our message across, whether it's to our animals or to someone else in our life, we feel good. We go to that positive energy state. And when we're in that positive energy state, animals always respond better to that. So what I'm here to tell you is the story goes on in the chapter, and it talks about our dog Nisi. Nisi's a little red Pomeranian that we had from a pup. And we bought her 2 balls, 2 identical balls in every way. We bought them from the same store. They're the same manufacturer, same texture. To the human eye, everything looks the same. Even they smelt the same, at least to us, smelled the same. One was orange and one was pink. Now, her pink one was always her favorite. Whenever we say go get the ball, she'd run and grab the pink one, leave the orange one there. But we started working with this and testing this out a little bit, and we laid the orange ball right next to the pink ball, and we put our mind and our focus and our vision on the orange ball, and we said, go get the orange ball, And we projected that in our mind's eye. We did not point toward it. We did not put it in a special spot. It was right beside the pink one. And she ran over and picked up that orange ball. Consistently, she did this. And then, of course, she'd drop it and grab her favorite pink one. But she knew which one was the orange ball.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yes. So I tried to explain that to the book, that, animals understand the words that we're saying. So that when we start talking about vacations, they think it's now. And they want to know, okay, what's going on? Do I grab my catnip? Am I ready to get my favorite blanket and catnip together? Am I going or am I not going? Is the pet sitter coming over? What's happening? So they get anxious. So they understand the words that we're saying. They see the visualization that we put out there. We do that typically subconsciously, so the more conscious and purposeful we are with that visualization we project, the better they understand. And then, of course, when we talked about it, what happens when you talk about things? You feel better. You go up to that positive energy state. It's like that old saying of talk about it, you'll feel better. Talk about it, get it off your chest. All those things. You're opening up that chakra and you're feeling good about it because you sent out a clear message verbally, clear picture, and animals understand that.
Now, obviously, and you talk about this in the book too, that there are cats who are more independent and there are cats that are more kind of people friendly. But I know that a lot of people feel like, well, I know some people have cats who actually get someone to stay in their home when they go away. And then other people who just have someone come in and like check on them. But I remember before we even had a cat that people used to say, oh, you can leave them for days, just make sure they have plenty of food and water. Knowing what you know and given the gift that you have, do you feel like that's accurate information, or again, is that case specific?
Well, I think it has to be. First and foremost, it's what resonates with you as far as what you do with your animals and what you think is best for them and what they're sharing with you. Personally, I never leave without having a pet sitter for the dogs. We never leave them alone. They're either with us or we have a pet sitter. And same thing with our cats. The cats are there, and the pet sitter is checking on them. Sometimes, if we're going to be gone for an extended period of time, we'll actually have them house set. So that's a personal thing that resonates with you. But the one thing you must do, the one thing I'll encourage you to do that's in the book, Talking with Dogs and Cats, is let your pets know. Let them know what's going on when you leave the house. So I'm a big proponent of telling the animals, when you leave the house, no matter what the reasoning is, you let them know where you're going. You let them know when you'll be back. Don't be afraid to give them times, dates, whatever it may be. And most importantly, give them a nice, non-stressed job to do. Okay, so, and the important thing behind that is you're going to tell them, okay, I'm going to go to Aunt Susie's house. And you're sort of visualizing Aunt Susie in her house and the whole trip. I'm going to be gone for 2 days. And you can visualize a calendar and checking off the 2 days on the calendar, or you can see the sun come up and the sun go down 2 times. So you're sending out that strong visualization. And then you assign them a nice, easy job to do, which is keep our favorite comforter warm. Keep our side of the bed warm for me, because that will make me happy. And I tell you, it's so simple, and it becomes part of your routine. When you get this into your normal routine, you'll start doing it when you go to work or to check the mailbox, whatever it is. And it takes so much pressure off the animal. And there's stories in the book that talks about that, how animals had real stress, real separation anxiety when their human companion left the home. When they started doing these techniques, the animal got better. The animal understood. And there was less anxiety and less challenges when the human companion came home.
I had, they've since moved, but I had a neighbor who they had 2 dogs, and one was older and like super chill, and the other one was younger. And every time the humans left, they, that one dog always barked. And it never stopped barking. I felt so awful for it. And then the older dog died. And then, of course, it was even more, seemed to be like just stressed out, would just stay by the door as soon as, the mom and dad would leave and bark. And, they didn't know what to do about it. And I'm sure it's still going on in their new location, but it just always was really sad to hear that, because you could tell that, kind of hear that desperation,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I tell you a real quick story here, and it shows how this process works. I had a colleague of mine who just recently moved from California to Texas to be close to family. She's got dogs and cats, so they took the journey 21 hours with multiple stops, of course, from Southern California to Texas. And when they left, they had a next-door neighbor who was their best friend, and there was a dog there. And they became best buddies with the other dogs in her pack, her clan. And she just basically loaded them all up and said the goodbyes and headed out. Well, her dogs were upset for not only the whole trip, but the several days afterwards being in Texas. And they were wondering what was going on, and will they ever see their buddy again? Will they ever see Frankie again? And when I told her this, she was like, that never even occurred to me. I thought maybe they were picking up on my anxiety or the fact that we had to leave California for Texas, which they were. I'm sure they were. But they really wanted to know what was going on with their best buddy. Why wasn't he coming? What's going to happen to him? Is he staying? Will I ever see him again? So I had her go through that process of telling the animal exactly what the situation is, what they needed to do about it, and why is this going to be a good thing for them. And she explained that, and she visualized the whole thing while she's talking about it. And as soon as she did that, the dogs got better. Everything chilled out. As a matter of fact, the opposite's now happened. She's going to go back for a visit, and she's explained to them that we're going to go see Frankie, and it's going to be this number. It's going to be 6 days, and we're going to stay there for 6 weeks. And the dogs immediately were chilled out. They were ready to go. They were excited about the whole thing. So they do understand the things. And so in your situation with your friends, encourage them to have a conversation about what had happened and what everybody needs to do about it to get through the grieving process. And to do it at their own time and their own speed and in their own way. And at the end of the day, know that all is well. And the animals will definitely understand that, and even more so, I think it'll give them great comfort that they talk about it and actually sort of process it and help them through their grieving process.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so great to, in your book, Talking with Cats and Dogs, that clear communication with everyone, two-legged or four-legged, is essential, right?
That's right. That's right. We have a lack of communication. I think Jack Nicholson said what we have is a lack of communication. Yeah. And that's true. That's true. When we're very clear about things and everybody understands it, and we have a connection and we have a conversation, everybody feels good afterwards. It may not have been the conversation you wanted to have, but you do feel better about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Instead of glossing over things. So, when we're talking to our dogs and cats, it's very easy for us to say, oh, you're a sweet boy or a good boy or a good girl, those type of things. But I want you to go a little bit deeper than that. I want you to really have a conversation with them. Make sure they understand what you need from them, but in turn, open yourself up, quiet yourself down, get rid of the Post-it notes in the brain, to receive those messages they're trying to send back to you that you're really wanting to know. And then once you receive those, the biggest thing I'll suggest is whatever you're receiving from your animals, in whatever manner that they're sharing it in, you've got to trust it. You've got to trust what you're receiving and go with it. Don't overanalyze it. Don't try to talk yourself out of it. Don't think you're imagining it. When you're in that space and time and you're truly connected, you'll receive information back. And it's your role and responsibility to follow those leads. Trust what you're receiving.
So you've learned from communicating this way, it sounds to me like dogs and cats do have a concept of time. I'd always heard that they don't know. They don't, you're gone for... They don't have any concept of time. You're gone for a couple hours. You're gone for a couple of days. Let's say cats, because you don't really, well, although I guess you can leave dogs for a period of time, but I'm just saying you wouldn't leave them alone. But that they don't, that they don't think that way, or they, that's not the way they conceptualize. Would you disagree with that then?
Oh, I totally disagree with that. They know exactly what time it is. In the book, I talk about our boys, our Schnauzer boys, Buzz and Woody, and every afternoon at 11 o'clock sharp, we had what was called Kongy time, where we take the red Kong ball and we put treats in there. So if the fine folks at Kong are listening, there's another plug for you there.
Yeah, more money. Let the money flow.
Money coming through. But so we had that at 11 o'clock. So my wife and I could be busy on the computer, talking on the phone, whatever it may be, and exactly 11 o'clock every single day, they would come up, wake up out of a sound sleep, pause for a moment, come over and put their paws on our legs. So they would know exactly what time it was, and sure enough, we'd look at the clock, and it was 11 o'clock. So they know that concept of time. Also had a cat that I talk about in the book, Talking with Dogs and Cats, and Mama Kitty. And Mama Kitty never left.
Yeah, Mama Kitty.
Yeah, and Mama Kitty, she was a well-loved girl. We'll just put it that way. Very sweet girl, and she never left the house. I mean, she was an outdoor cat. She was a feral cat that had become less and less feral over time and actually became a very, very sweet cat. But she had her little heated area and her plush area inside the garage, and there was a small opening in the garage, and she could go outside. But she never went any further than the driveway. That's as far as she ever went. But one time early on, I made the mistake of leaving, and I told her, we'll see you later. You know, we'll be back. We're going on vacation. But I didn't tell her when I would be back. And I didn't take the time even during vacation to project out to her that we're going to be back on a particular date and a particular time. Mm-hmm. So she hung around day after day. The pet sitter was here. She got her food, got her water, got her attention. Everything was the same, but I wasn't giving it to her. And sure enough, after 5 days, she's like, well, I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of waiting on him to come back. I don't know if he's coming back. And so she left. Now, fortunately, she only left for a 3-day journey, but she left, and when I came home, she wasn't there. And I looked everywhere for her. I projected out there. I found the general area where she was, found her, actually, but I couldn't convince her to come back until that 3rd day when she was finally like, okay, now that I'm convinced you're back, I'm going to come back. So I do know they understand the time, and if we're projecting that visually to them, they'll understand. So give it a try. You know, at the very least, open yourself up to the idea and try it. And it's just fun. The first time it happens, you're like, oh my goodness! I told her, you know, I'd be back at a certain time, and she's all chilled out, and she's never chilled when I'm gone.
Yeah, don't underestimate what they're capable of.
Yeah, and I think that's a big key behind it, because I think they're fully able to comprehend everything around them, even more so than we are, because they open themselves up to it. They allow that to flow through, where we put up all these boundaries and chills, and there's society things that we have to deal with that says we should act a certain way or do a certain thing. Animals are pure joy and love. They don't have that. They don't have to doubt what's going on in the world, or they don't care if you drive a Porsche or if you drive a Pinto. I'm dating myself terribly on that reference, but you know what I mean.
Well, Beverly Hillbillies and Pinto. I mean, you're speaking my language, Tim. So we're going to take another short break. I picked up on all of your references. We're going to take another short break. We'll be right back in a few minutes. Stay tuned for more with Tim Link and his book, Talking with Dogs and Cats.
Hey, what's up? Thinking about you. XOXOXO. Want to snuggle. ... JK. Hit me back. You getting these texts? ? We should hang later. I miss you. Holla at ya, boy. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you at home? Where are you? What are you doing? OMG. You are making me mad. Are you with your ex? You better text me back. I'm waiting outside your house.
Relentless, aggressive texting is like sending an angry robot to deliver your message. When does the robot become dangerous? Let us know at that'snotcool.com.
That'snotcool.com.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Do you tend to overreact and let your emotions rule your interactions with others? Do you become defensive or find it difficult to see things from another's point of view? Hi, I'm Michelle Skeen. You're not alone. Despite the fact that we all have to deal with people in our daily lives, many of us have difficulties with interpersonal relationships. My suggestion? Pick up a copy of the Interpersonal Problems Workbook. This book combines powerful evidence-based techniques for strengthening relationships in all areas of your life, whether it's at home or work, with a significant other, a parent, or your child. To find out more about the Interpersonal Problems Workbook, go to my website, www.michelleskeen.com. Again, www.michelleskeen.com. Pick up a copy and improve your relationships.
There are kids in this country who didn't have a parent at their baseball games or recitals because their parents were serving in faraway places. But now they're coming home, and Wounded Warrior Project assists them through the Warriors to Work program.
My mom used to be a tank programmer. Now she works with computers. I'm really glad she's home because I can't eat my dad's marshmallow macaroni anymore.
To support the Warriors to Work program, contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
Welcome back to Relationships 2.0. I'm chatting with Tim Link. He is the author of Talking with Dogs and Cats, joining the conversation to improve behavior and bond with your animals. One of the things that I see when I take my dogs out is that they can, in our building, we can, we have to go to the service elevator, and then oftentimes as soon as the elevator door opens, there are other dogs standing there, and everyone kind of goes nuts. And yet, my dog's in an open space, off leash, just able to, be fully themselves, no barking, no, they're not getting all worked up about anything. They're playing with other dogs. And is there something about the leash that is really generally problematic for dogs?
Well, I think when the animal's on the leash, they know exactly that their role has changed a little bit, what their responsibility has changed. Typically, obviously, if they're off leash, they're running, they're thinking about what they want to do in most cases, and we have to redirect them back to us quite often. But on leash, they know it's a job, that they're there for focused reasons. Now, they may still have fun. They're going to smell the trees and all the good stuff around them, but they are focused on doing things in a certain manner and following a certain routine in a path. So it becomes a little bit of a job for them. And the challenge we have with that is our own comfort level with that. So if we're tense about the situation, if we're constantly pulling on the leash, or we're anticipating that those neighbors' dogs will be there, we're getting tense about it. And our animal is going to say, well, wait a minute, if mommy's tense about it, I got to be tense about it. And that's when you tend to have more and more disruptions in things. When you're calm with it, everything's going well. A great example of that happened to me today. We're in the process of building a new house. And so
congratulations.
Thank you. It's
a blessing and a curse.
It is a blessing and it's a curse. And yes, and I've used more curses in this process than I've ever used in my life. We'll just leave it at that. But today we went for a visit. I've been out of town teaching a workshop. I came back. I didn't get the chance to see the updates in the house. And our dogs always demand a walk through the house. And it's not to the stage where they can walk on the ground. There's too many nails, too many hazards to get in trouble with. So I carry them. I carry them through the house. I've got schnauzers. I got a little toy schnauzer who weighs 8 pounds, and I got a little chocolate schnauzer who weighs 18. So it's not too bad. I'm not, thank goodness for house purposes, I don't have my St. Bernard or anything with me. But during this time, my chocolate schnauzer, he's really focused and really intense on a leash. He still gets a little upset when he sees dogs or sees other people out there, so I have to remind him that all is well. He doesn't attack them, but he just gets a little tense. But and of course, I try the best I can to keep my thoughts and worries out of there. I try to project ahead of time. I have to see if there's going to be anybody approaching us and try to address that with him and keep him calm. But it's a little different dynamic. But today I pick him up, and I'm calm. I'm just interested in seeing the house. There are people in the house. There are workers. There's all kinds of noise happening. And he didn't make a peep because I was calm about the situation. Didn't even occur to me that, oh, my goodness, if there's people in there, I wonder how he's going to act. I didn't let that even come through my conscious state. And everything was fine. It was pleasant. It was a nice little walkthrough. They still have a lot of work to do, and I try not to get tense about that. But
that finished date is a moving target.
Yes, today was closing day, but that didn't happen, needless to say. So so I have the joy of releasing that and letting the universe handle that the best I can.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that the way that I think about the elevator and when the elevator door opens for us to come off is that, almost every horror movie has like an elevator scene, where the elevator door opens and there's someone horrible there or something horrible's happened. And so it's always a little startling because you don't know what's going to be on the other side of the doors when they open,
Yes.
So I would say that, to your point, I am not the most relaxed in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I don't know what's going to be there. And I always am really, I'm self-conscious about the way that other people might perceive them, because even though there are these big, fluffy golden doodles who are super, loving, that, they still have big barks, and that, a lot of people have, have smaller dogs. And so, it's intimidating.
Right. So, the best thing to do for yourself and for your dogs is when you get ready to go out the door, you have that chat with them, saying that we're going on to your favorite park. We're going on a nice walk. It's going to be fantastic. I need you to realize that we may or may not encounter people coming off the elevator, but what I need you to do is stay calm about it and handle it like the beautiful, brilliant babies you are, because this is going to make you feel better, and it's going to make me a lot less stressed.
The other thing that I love, just as you're talking, I'm thinking, engaging in this and I will absolutely do what you just told me to do. It's actually really great self-talk too, right?
Right. Absolutely.
For the human, right?
Absolutely.
For the two-legged parent, it's like you're talking yourself through it as well while you're talking to them.
That's
and
it.
Maybe I'm the one who needs more work than they do.
Well, you know what they say. It's not always the animals in our lives. It's the people in our lives. But no, it's very true. It's very true. It's a calming mechanism for you. You've already talked about it. You feel better. You've walked yourself through the process. You've visualized it. So, it's going to be good.
So let's address one of the things, and you bring it up in the book, and I think everyone is always really fascinated by this topic. First, when you see people who look like their dogs, that's always so funny. I mean, when they actually really do. But what about, obviously, like people, animals are born with particular temperaments, and then it's that whole nature nurture thing, right? Like, how is if a dog's really anxious, it obviously a lot of their anxiety can be alleviated if they're treated a certain way and all of that kind of stuff by their two-legged parent. But do you see a lot of, when you go to help people out, a lot of the humans have just kind of like transferred a lot of their issues onto the dog?
Well, the thing with humans and animals is the fact that, we all have our own unique personalities. We have our own characteristics. Yes, certain breeds of animals will tend to lean towards one characteristic or another, but we're talking about it much deeper than that. So it's, we have our own things that make us anxious and the things that make us calm, and it's unique for us. It's the same for our animals. Well, the key thing about the animals, though, that we have a hard time doing as humans is deflecting negative energy. So negative energy is anything negative going on in the world, anything that is really heavy that's coming at you, the news, for instance, or humans love a great train wreck, as we call it. No matter how much we absorb that, and it affects us. And even the words that are used, when we use words like no, not, stop, don't, quit, we yell, we scream, we get our loud voice out, that's projecting negative energy. Now, animals are great at deflecting that. So when we tell them don't pee on the floor, that's tend to negate the don't, and they go pee on the floor. So we have to explain to them why that's not, we need them to go potty outside only. But we also use in our human language those words all the time. I tell people that, I'm not a financial planner, but I've got a way for you to have a healthy retirement portfolio. I want you to go a day without saying the word no. And every time you use the word no to your dogs, to anybody, to anything in your life, I want you to put $1 in the kitty jar, the little tip jar, and see how much money you have at the end of that day, let alone weeks on end.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But with animals, after a while, if we continue to bombard them with negative energy, or we're in a negative space and time in our lives, then they start to absorb that. And that's when they have dis-ease within their lives. And that's when we start seeing some behavior changes. Sure. And so it's just like us hanging around negative people or constantly being bombarded with that. It starts to affect us emotionally, mentally, and physically. So we've got to learn to live in the moment, follow our purpose, follow our passion, live in this present day, basically live a dog or cat's life.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. What better life is there? Come on. Lay around, sleep, make everybody happy, give cuddles and kisses. It's a good life.
Go get an orange ball or a pink ball.
That's right. Whatever your preference is, you can have all the balls. In our house, we have about 500 different toys flying around at any given time, and have to avoid those and stepping on the bones and all that good stuff.
Your book, Talking with Dogs and Cats, is a great reminder of what we have to learn from animals and from the animals that we live with all the time that spend more time with us than anyone else. I mean, when I go to take a shower or a bath, they all three go. The two dogs and the cat, they all have their spot,
Right.
They're with me more time, a larger amount of time than anyone else. And there's so much to learn from. Well, I guess, what I want to say is I've always felt like I've, just enjoyed them so much, and they've been such an important part of our family. But to think about, and, we connect so deeply with them, but just that there's so much more there and so much more to connect with and so much more to learn is really fabulous.
Yeah. This is a relationship. They're as big a part of our life as any other person in our lives. We owe it to them. We owe it to ourselves to dig a little deeper, go a little bit deeper, and see if we can find some ways to help better understand and better improve their lives and bond with them at the deepest level possible. And when you do that, you'll find even greater appreciation for having those furry, feathered, thin friends in your life.
You must really be loving all of the research that's been coming out about how therapeutic they are and just the way they're being, brought into all sorts of interesting places, whether it's, prisons or nursing homes or hospitals or even on school campuses to help people deal with a whole host of issues.
Yeah, all the programs are fabulous, and this just shows that the good news about society and humans in general is we're starting to get it. We're starting to realize there's much more to this than we ever imagined. We should try to understand it, but at the very least, if we can't or we can't quite grasp it in our mindset, we should allow it to happen and realize that these are wonderful things, that they come in our lives for a particular reason. There's reasons they find us, and whatever those reasons are, we need to help them try to fulfill that every day. So some are great teachers, some are great healers, some of us get us through tough times in our lives, some of us give us direction and purpose in our lives. For my animals, my two dogs, Buzz and Woody, are schnauzers that have made their transition. They came into my life 4 months before this gift opened up, and they helped me take this leap of faith that now I've been a full-time communicator and consultant for over a decade now. And this is what I do every single day. And I owe it all to them. I owe it all to them to open myself up, allow them to be my muse, and lead me down this path that is a blessing every day.
That's so fabulous. Tim, thank you so much for sharing all of this information and your special gift. The book is Talking with Dogs and Cats, Joining the Conversation to Improve Behavior and Bond with Your Animals. Tim, what is a website where people can reach out to you?
Yeah, you can go to talkingwithdogsandcats.com, and there it'll tell you a little bit more about the book, tell you about me, lead you to my other websites and things of this sort. Also, the media appearances are on there. And, of course, the book, Talking with Dogs and Cats, are available today on at every major bookstore, independent bookstores, and online as well.
It's awesome. Everyone pick up a copy and enjoy the read and enjoy expanding your experience. I'm looking forward to expanding my communication with our pets. Thanks again, Tim. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure being on, and I'm glad I could help out and give those animals a voice.
Appreciate it. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I think I'm done.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Credit ratings upgrade from Moody's. 76-year-old Nike founder and chairman Phil Knight wants to step down, and he wants the current CEO of the sneaker and sports apparel giant to succeed him. A federal 3-judge panel agreeing with a lower court that Apple violated antitrust laws and conspired with eBay